Bill Gates refusing to die rich. The Microsoft co-founder planning to give away virtually all of his money in the next 20 years.
Something major is happening with Bill Gates, and people around the world are paying close attention. After decades of being one of the richest and most influential figures on the planet, Bill Gates has just announced that he's shutting down the Gates Foundation and giving away nearly all of his wealth on an estimated $200 billion over the next 2 decades. On the surface, this might look like a generous act from a philanthropist, but the timing has raised serious questions.
It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
Especially as new information is surfacing about Gates' past connections with Jeffrey Epstein. Let's break this down. For years, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been one of the most powerful non-government organizations in the world, spending billions on global health, vaccines, education, and more. It was often praised in the media as a force for good, but many have also criticized how much influence one man and his foundation had over global public health policies. And now, in 2025, Gates is saying he plans to wind it all down. And by the end of 2045, the foundation will be no more. He says his plan is to give away nearly all his wealth and die with nothing. He's even publicly said that his children will only get a small portion of his money and that the rest will go to society. That statement alone shocked a lot of people. But it's not just what he's doing, it's when he's doing it. At the same time as this announcement, serious accusations and speculation have resurfaced about Gates' relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier and convicted offender who ran an elite trafficking network.
Would you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
Epstein's suspicious death in 2019 inside a federal prison sparked global outrage and left many wondering who else was involved in his crimes. For years, there has been talk of a secret Epstein client list, names of powerful people who visited Epstein or were involved in his operations. Gates' name has been linked to Epstein many times. He admitted to meeting with him multiple times, even after Epstein was convicted. And Melinda Gates, his ex-wife, has gone on record saying that she warned Bill about Epstein and deeply regretted ever meeting him. She said Epstein gave her a bad feeling immediately, and that he was evil personified. And despite that, Gates continued to meet with Epstein. According to reports, Epstein may have tried to use a personal affair of Gates to blackmail him. Gates was allegedly involved with a much younger Russian woman, a bridge player named Mila Antonova, who he met through Epstein. Some sources say Epstein knew about this relationship and tried to use it as leverage.
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
Gates has never denied meeting Antonova or spending time with Epstein. He has only said that he regrets doing so. Now, fast forward to today. Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi recently claimed that the FBI is reviewing tens of thousands of video files linked to Epstein, including footage that may involve very powerful people in compromising situations with underage girls. She says the evidence is so massive in volume that it may never all come out. But the fact that this material exists and that names could eventually be revealed has everyone on edge. And just as that story gains attention, Bill Gates announces that he's giving away all his wealth and closing the foundation he built his legacy on. Coincidence? Many people don't think so. There's growing belief that this move is not simply about charity or philanthropy, but about self-protection, a way to control the public narrative.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful. And I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation. That's what I get up every day and focus on.
Distract from damaging headlines and prepare for what could be coming next. Some are calling it a calculated move to look good in the eyes of the public.
Well, Jeffrey, in retrospect, I was foolish to spend any time with him.
The Journal previously reported on Gates's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including that Epstein threatened Gates over an affair he had. The two met a few times, Gates says, to discuss philanthropy.
Do you think, looking back at that moment, that you were being played?
Well, Jeffrey, in retrospect, I was foolish to spend any time with him, and he sort of, got time with various people by spending time with other people. So yes, I think I was quite stupid. I thought it would help me with global health philanthropy. In fact, it failed to do that, and it was just a huge mistake.
Has it made you more wary of connections?
Definitely. Yeah. Are you kidding?
Just in case anything linked to Epstein becomes official, even Elon Musk, who's been critical of Gates in the past, publicly stated that Gates was on the Epstein list. Musk hasn't provided specific evidence, but he has repeatedly drawn attention to Gates' ties with Epstein, even mocking him online. Others have pointed out that there are no known photos of Elon with Epstein, while there are confirmed photos of Gates visiting Epstein's infamous mansion in Manhattan, a place known to have hidden cameras recording almost everything. And there's another thing. When Gates was asked by a reporter about Epstein's death, his reaction was strange. He smirked and said, "Well, he's dead, so you always have to be careful."
Jeffrey Epstein discovered that Bill Gates had an affair with a Russian bridge player and later appeared to use that knowledge to threaten him, according to people who are familiar with the situation. Here's how it started. Around 2010, Gates meets this 20-something bridge player named Mila Antonova, and they have an affair. One of Gates's advisors introduces her to Epstein in 2013, according to documents he viewed. Epstein later pays for her to go to coding school. Now, Epstein also has this idea for a multi-billion-dollar charitable fund that would pool money from the world's wealthiest people. He had two reasons for this, according to people familiar with his thinking. One, he could make millions off the fees it collected, and two, it would rehabilitate his reputation after getting out of prison for in 2009. Epstein wanted Gates to participate. So Epstein tries really hard to get in with Gates. For example, Epstein has meetings with Gates and the Nobel Peace Prize Committee chair to try to help Gates win one. Eventually, Gates starts to distance himself from Epstein. The charitable fund never happens.
That line has been repeated online over and over again. People couldn't believe that someone as media trained and powerful as Gates would make such an odd and cold statement. Let's also talk about the Gates Foundation's future. Though he says it will close by 2045, the foundation still has 20 years to operate. That means there is still time for Gates to direct where the money goes, and potentially keep a form of influence in global health decisions. While he says nearly all of his wealth will be given away, some believe that this just means it will be redirected in ways that still benefit his goals or protect his image. It's also worth noting that other global elites are stepping down around the same time. Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, recently resigned. The WEF has been criticized for its role in promoting centralized global agendas and influencing governments. With Schwab out and Gates planning his exit, some believe there's a bigger shift happening behind the scenes, maybe even a coordinated retreat by those who've held power for years.